In 1989, we had a dictator, Manuel Noriega, got into a bit of a pickle because my husband was running a covert radio operation to provide information to the voting public about the upcoming elections. He was arrested and thrown in jail. In the end, it was 9 months in prison, and our absolutely wonderful unit, the Delta Force, went in and rescued Kurt on the night of Just Cause, which was the conflict where we were working to get Noriega out. But that meant that I had to get out of Panama quickly. We all did. In fact, that night, 26 men, women, and children were evacuated. Dr. Jim Wolf, my wonderful hero who was leading the Panama region, had to go into my office, my house, close down my house, move my things out. Marilee Fitzgerald was here at the HR department. She helped coordinate an effort to get me back here. I was on a sabbatical for a year while Kurt was in prison, and then began working here at the headquarters office with DoD. So that brings to mind the concept that DoDEA is family.
Started out in the Philippines, in Subic Bay. It was an adjustment, living in the jungle, pretty much on base because we were pretty much enclosed base, but we had beaches to go to, and snorkeling was there, and oh, we thought we were in paradise. The Mount Pinatubo volcano was going to be erupting within where I could go actually see it. So it was last Wednesday of school. My door burst open and kids poured in. Mr. Orlance, the volcano is erupting. And I ran outside, and there above us was a huge mushroom cloud. Grabbed my camera, took a few pictures, came back, and that was finals day. We didn't have the last final. We just sat and watched the cloud go over. That was Wednesday. The volcano continued to erupt Thursday and Friday, but Friday afternoon the ash shifted, and we got ash on base, and it shorted out every transformer on base. So no electricity that night. So the next morning, looking out our back window, and I happened to see this big black cloud coming our way. Horizon. And I said, that's not a typhoon. So I stepped outside, and it was raining, but the rain fell different. And I held out my hand, and it's a raindrop, a big one, splashed in it, and it was mud. It was the front edge of the big eruption that happened on that Saturday. And we watched the cloud go over us, watched the sun disappear in the east because we were high above the bay, and that's the last light we saw that day. The next morning we got up, and it was a different world. It was all black and white, or gray and white, and the ash was everywhere. It stripped the leaves from the trees, and it was just like, whoa, a whole new world. When they packed out our household goods and from Pinatubo, we got a bucket of ash that I scooped up from outside, and I tried to find a use for it, and I figured out that I could give it away to students who did very well in science that year. And so ever since then, I've started what I call the Order of the Ash Award, where they get a vial of ash instead of a certificate at the end of the year if they've done well in science. And it's great because they love it, and kids work all year, some of them, to get that ash.
4 days after I landed in Manila, I see Benigno Aquino shot on the tarmac. 2 weeks later, KAL-007 is shot down by the Russians. I'm coming from the mountains of Colorado right into the middle of this hotbed of activity in the Philippines, and it's like, wait a minute, what am I getting into? 3 years later, here's the People's Revolution. Marcos is overthrown. In 1989, I was living in Heidelberg, Germany. The Berlin Wall comes down, a profound effect on Europe. I was in a circumstance one time where in 2011 I was in Atsugi in Japan, in the Tokyo metropolitan area. We were up for a swim meet, and that's when the great earthquake hit. 9 point something, one of the strongest earthquakes in Japanese history. There were 110 of us up there for a swim meet from Okinawa, and roads were shut down, rail service was shut down, airports were shut down. But we had a group of military families, mostly Marines, and they got busy, and 2 days later, 2 C-130s fly up from Okinawa, rescue all the families, take them back. Phenomenal, phenomenal. All of these things are happening, but you just take them in stride. You live it, you experience it, you talk about it, you have a job to do, you have school to teach, or whatever your particular job is, but you're seeing all this history unfold around you. It's hard to explain what kind of opportunities you're exposed to when you get into DoDEA and you get the opportunity to go overseas and just see life from a totally different perspective.